Our next orator is Mr. Malik McKenzie. Ms. McKenzie is a senior at the Webb School of Knoxville and possesses a 3.55 GPA average. He is a member of the honors choir, the wrestling team, and the track team. He has also attended the Governor's School for Vocal Performance and was awarded the title of Best Overall and received one of the top scores in East Tennessee in his audition for this year's All-State Choir. Also, he earned cum laude on the National Latin Exam for 3 years in a row. Malik has volunteered numerous times with the Urban League as well as at Children's Hospital. His future plans include graduating high school and going on to attend college. He enjoys singing and acting and participating in the visual arts. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I present to you Mr. Malik McKenzie.
Thank you. Who are we? Are we the citizens of this great nation, each guaranteed our rights by the Constitution? Are we the ancestors of a group of people that have been persecuted for little more than the color of our skin? Or are we all human beings, all working together on this earth to ensure that each person be granted a view of God's grace? We have to know who we are. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. answered all of these questions square on in his I Have a Dream speech. He not only speaks of letting freedom ring from every mountainside here in America, but he also looks forward to the day when every race, denomination, and gender of God's children will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. It is clear that we are not done yet, and that we must never stop working towards his goal of ultimate equality if we want a better world for generations to come. So we have achieved part of this dream. Large amounts of racial tension continue to remain throughout the nation, but we only see short glimpses of hate harbored between races, like the recent murder of Jordan Davis, who, if you haven't heard, was shot and killed for playing his music too loudly. On the other hand, America's schools have been desegregated for many years, and it is not uncommon to see the descendants of former slaves and former slave masters joining hands in brotherly love. But today, his dream is lacking the completion of the we. The powerful words of Dr. King are not to lose their effect, because for the majority of Americans, the world has become a better, safer, more tolerant place. No, not until from all neighborhoods of children like Trayvon Martin will the words that have been spoken to everyone in this room for decades ring true. Even then, there are nations in this world that don't even have a fragment of the part of the dream achieved here in the United States. Our world may not be able to take another Holocaust or 9/11, and we certainly cannot simply wait for the problems of our sister nations to rise into despicable acts of terror, like the rising threat of the nuclear war with North Korea, or the ongoing struggle in the Middle East. I cannot limit myself to only being included in the black population of East Tennessee, or the general population of the United States of America. It cannot be a rich or poor thing, and since we have made such strides in the racial equality of America, it can no longer be a black or white thing. We all know that there are families on the Gaza Strip who live out their days running from one nightmare to the next, yet it's still happening. We as human beings cannot wait for the leaders of their people to lift them out of despair, because we are their people. These third world problems in this one world society plague our streets, from deep in the heart of the Congo, where children are raped, beaten, and thrown into slavery as if our people's 400-year struggle never happened, all the way to the heart of any of America's housing projects, where black people remain in poverty. As Dr. King said, we cannot turn back, and as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. If Dr. King had lived to see the world today, his protests and marches would not stop at the desegregation of schools or the election of the first African-American president. This world, including our nation, is in a state of great panic. Dr. King quoted the Bible, telling us not to stop our search for equality until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I cannot speak for everyone, but I don't see mighty streams of righteousness born from the waters of justice when you and I continue to tolerate the persecution of any group of people. When I look into a kindergarten classroom, it is difficult to imagine that one day the children in that room will be exposed to the intolerance of today, despite our efforts for racial, gender, religious, and social equality. Imagine if the black leaders became content with the liberation of slaves, and I, as a young black man, was to be subject to the horrors of Jim Crow law. For the famous dream to be realized, we have to stop waiting for the next Martin Luther King Jr. to free the world from struggle. We cannot remain content any longer with the God-given rights granted only to us, but we must fight for liberty and justice until our brothers and sisters who are not able to fight for themselves are liberated. Most importantly, we have to know who we are. Thank you.